It's story time. On the count of 3, let's say the story bag poem and see what's inside. 1, 2, 3. Story bag, what have you to say? Story bag, what's in you today? We have 2 tiny pairs of boots. This is a Grimm's tale from Germany called The Elves and the Shoemakers. Story ears open, story mouths quiet, story buckles buckled, and let us begin. Once upon a time, long ago, there lived a shoemaker and his wife. They were hard-working, honest, and good, and through no fault of their own, they were very poor. One day, the shoemaker and his wife had only enough leather to make one last pair of shoes. They cut out the leather and laid the pieces on the workbench, ready for the next morning. When the shoemaker and his wife arose the next day, the pieces of leather were gone, and in their place they found a new pair of shoes. The shoes were beautifully made, and it was clear that a master shoemaker had made them. The shoemaker and his wife could not believe their eyes. As they admired the craftsmanship of the shoes, the bell above their door tinkled and a customer walked in. "What wonderful shoes," he said. "I'll take them." The customer paid more than the usual price for them. So the shoemaker and his wife were able to buy enough leather to make 2 pairs of shoes. That evening they cut out the leather and laid the pieces on the workbench ready for the next morning. When the shoemaker and his wife arose the next day, just as before, the pieces of leather were gone, and in their place they found 2 new pairs of shoes. The shoemaker and his wife were astonished again. The shoes were bought by a customer who, just as before, paid more than usual. So now they were able to buy leather to make 4 pairs of shoes. As before, the shoemaker and his wife cut out the leather for the shoes, laid the pieces on the workbench, and in the morning the shoes were finished. It went on and on and on like that until soon the shoemaker and his wife were no longer poor. One evening the wife said, "Husband, let us find out who is making these shoes. Wouldn't you like to thank whoever's been helping us?" "Yes, indeed I would," said the shoemaker. "Tonight, let us hide in the workroom and see who it is that is helping us." That night, the shoemaker and his wife hid behind the curtains near the workbench. At midnight, as the cuckoo clock chimed 12, the window was flung open and in flew 2 little naked elves. As quick as a flash, they hammered and sewed the leather together and completed all the shoes in a blink of an eye. And as quickly as they had entered the room, the 2 naked little elves flew out of the window and into the night. After they had left, the wife said, "Those poor little elves must be freezing without any clothes. I can make them pants and shirts, and you can make them boots and belts." The shoemaker agreed. "That will be a perfect way to thank them for all the help they've given us." The shoemaker and his wife got busy making clothes and boots and belts for the elves. That evening, they were finished. "Won't they look smart in their new little outfits?" said the wife, arranging their little underpants, socks, pants, shirts, and jackets on the table. "Yes, indeed they will," said the shoemaker, who put out their boots and belts. "Let's hide behind the curtains again and watch them." That night, the shoemaker and his wife hid behind the curtains near the workbench, and at midnight, when the cuckoo clock chimed 12, the window was flung open and in flew the 2 little naked elves. They stopped dead in their tracks when they saw what was on the workbench. Instead of the pieces of leather to make shoes, they saw clothes that were just their size. The 2 elves put on the clothes and they fit perfectly. The elves were so happy they danced a dance and sang a song. "Oh, what spruce and dandy boys are we! No longer cobblers we will be. Oh, what spruce and dandy boys are we. The elves flew out of the window and were never seen again. The shoemaker and his wife were happy for the rest of their days. And there be my story, be it bitter or sweet. Take what you like, but leave enough for me to eat.